Want to call to order the Amberley Village Council meeting of March 13th, 2023. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Here. Ben Hunt.
Here.
Tom Muthing.
Here.
Bob Rosen.
Here.
Dara Wood.
Here.
Scott Larmer.
Here.
Andrew Kakey.
Here.
Brian Bloom.
Here.
And if everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda this evening is our minutes from our last meeting. Those were circulated in advance. Are there any comments on those minutes? Seeing none, we can consider the minutes approved. We'll now hear from the village manager for the finance report for January.
Thank you, Mayor. The finance report summary is in your packet along with the UAN reports showing the actual transactions during the month of January. To talk a little bit about the general fund, our revenue for the earnings tax in January was a little over $500,000. That is much larger than what we normally have. That would represent about 13% of what we would expect to collect in the year. There is a bit of a misnomer about that because that represents one large estimated tax payment. So that is a bit of an anomaly. But overall, the earnings tax revenue for the month of January is very good. In terms of the estimate of what we're collecting in earnings tax, we're estimating $3.7 million for the year. On the overall revenue for the general fund, the total year-to-date for January is $552,000, so we're about 9% collection, which is very good for the village. On the expense side of the equation, our expenses in the month of January are $635,000. Our budget for the year is $6.8 million, so we spent about 9% of the 2023 budget. And that leaves us with an unencumbered general fund balance of $5.2 million. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the manager? If not, on this evening's agenda was the recognition of police officer Nick Mercer. That is not going to occur this evening. We think that will occur in April. We just had a change in attendance for this evening. We'll now move on to committee reports, and first, the Finance Committee. And as chair of the Finance Committee, I will present this resolution. Before you this evening is Resolution 2023-4, urging the Ohio Governor and members of the General Assembly to restore the local government fund to pre-2008 level. Back in 2008 to 10, the government substantially reduced the amount of funds that they would send to local governments, and that was in response to the state being in tough financial situation at that point. The state now is in much better financial position, so we did have a request to start lobbying for our senators and representatives to restore those funds. The state is in the process of looking at a number of different proposals with respect to the funds in the state. They are in very strong financial position, talking about a tax cut and various other things. So I'm not sure we think it's very likely that they're going to restore us back to levels back to 2008. But again, it's useful reminding our representatives and senators that local government is critical to the state, and we do perform a critical role in providing safety and services to our residents. So, this is something very important. So I hereby move that we approve Resolution 2023-4, urging the Ohio Governor and members of the General Assembly to restore local government funds.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approved Resolution 2023-4. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-4. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously. We'll now move on to the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewers Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Streets Committee met, and there will be two resolutions before council this evening. The first resolution is 2023-5, which authorizes the village manager to enter into a contract for mowing services. This is an annual financial situation for the village where we put the different contracts that we have for mowing services out for bid, and it's up to council then to approve those bids. There are three separate sections to this, to the mowing services. The first is the village properties, the second is Amberley Green, and the third is the north side and other rights of way. For the village sites, the low bid and the only bid was from Frederick's Landscape. Their bid was $26,500, which represents 28 cuts of the village property, plus cutting the ball fields twice a week, as long as necessary. The second bid was for Amberley Green, which was MS Landscaping. That bid came in at, and they were the only bidder, that bid came in at a total of $51,660. Again, this is for 28 cuts. And then the north site and other rights of way, that bid came in at $31,201. And that bid is for Frederick's Landscaping, and again, there were no other bidders. I will point out that the total of those three bids comes in at $31,201 over what is budgeted. And based on our talking in the committee, that will be up to the maintenance department to decide how to either manage their budget, or in cases where they can't manage their budget, it will probably lead to the Amberley Green not being cut as frequently. So I would move that council approve Resolution 2023-5, authorizing the manager to enter into the contract for mowing services as I have just presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-5, authorizing the village manager to enter into the contracts for mowing services. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-5. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, there was also quite a bit of talk in the committee about the cost of particularly mowing at Amberley Green. And at Councilman Bardak's urging, we have requested that the village manager report back to the Streets Committee on ways that we might manage that cost in a more efficient manner. That includes looking at the village purchasing its own equipment, not mowing it quite as close to the ground as they have, and any other suggestions that the village manager might have in order for us to bring that cost under control. Secondly, the Streets Committee would like to introduce Resolution 2023-6, which will authorize the manager village manager to enter into a contract to purchase electric aggregation for the village facilities. This contract, excuse me, the present contract is up at the end of May, as I believe, correct? And the village is part of a group where there are seven different political entities that go into purchasing these electricity. Our consultant is AGE, and they go out and they search the market and try to find the best possible cost for us. Because the market is volatile, they have requested that we give the village manager authorization so that when a particularly good opportunity arises in the marketplace, that they can go ahead and execute that contract. So I would like to suggest that council approve Resolution 2023-6, which would authorize the manager to enter the purchase of these electrical aggregation services.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-6, authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement for the purchase of electricity for the Amberley Village sites. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-6. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next is the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee, and before we do that, I'd like to make the council rep on the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee has traditionally been the chair of the Health, Education, and Welfare Committee, and the vice mayor, because the vice mayor Vice Mayor Hunt agreed to take on that role, and although he was not chair of that committee. But we now want to kind of correct that situation. So Councilwoman Wood has agreed to take on that role. So I'd first like to make a resolution appointing Councilwoman Wood as chair or the council rep for the Health and Wellness, or the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint Councilwoman Wood as the council rep for the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution is passed unanimously, and I will now turn it over to the council rep for the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First up, in discussion at the meeting this past week, was Pick Up Pickleball. Last year, the committee piloted a weekly program, and it went very well. Many attended regularly, and some popped in when they could, and play even continued after the official season was over for many. This year, we're excited to get this season started early and bring it indoors until weather and daylight permit us to be outside in partnership with the Mayerson JCC. So beginning tomorrow evening, a lot of notice here, Tuesday, March 14th from 7 to 8:45 p.m. and every Tuesday, Amberley Village residents can join the JCC Pickup Pickleball there at no charge. You do need to register, and you can do that through the Mayerson JCC website and use the coupon code We Thrive in all capital letters in order for that to be no charge. If you're already a J member, it's no charge automatically. We also are happy to say that if there is a weather issue once we begin our summer session outdoors, that we are welcome to join the JCC on Tuesday evenings to their indoor league, which continues year-round. It will still be at the same time as the JCC's pickleball, not at the earlier time that we will do ours. When we move outdoors, will be determined by weather and sundown, but expect probably mid-May or early June that we will be indoors until then and then move outdoors. And also on pickleball, we will be striping 2 more of the tennis courts, so they can also be used for tennis or pickleball. So there will now be a total of 4, so much less waiting for the people that are attending the pickleball pickup. And thank you to Councilman Hunt for helping to facilitate that. And a big thank you to the We Thrive Committee in general, but also the members, Chia and Sheree, for organizing the pickup pickleball for us. Moving on to Yoga on the Lawn, the Mayerson JCC is again partnering with us, and they are providing the teacher for this. And I believe it's the same teacher as we had last year, they said. Most likely will start probably in early June, but they're still working out the details with her schedule. There were quite a few sessions that were canceled due to weather, so now we're working on an indoor backup plan if weather does not cooperate, so it can continue throughout the summer, hopefully with in the community room in the basement of the municipal building. That might be a surprise because I'm not sure if they have contacted you yet, but someone will let you guys know that we're going to want to reserve that. And then lastly, just as point of information, the track around the municipal building and ball fields is most likely going to be used for some training for Pig Abilities, a 1-mile event during the Cincinnati Flying Pig for children and adults with intellectual and physical disabilities. And the JCC is working on getting a group together to train, so we're happy to have them use our track to do that. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll now move on to the Police and Fire Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Police and Fire Committee met on March 1st, and this evening we have 2 resolutions before you. The first of those is Resolution 2023-7, authorizing the purchase of body-worn cameras from Motorola. So this would be in addition to the cruiser cams that all of our police officers already have. We've been investigating. The chief has been very big into this for a number of years, looking to find kind of that right time of being able to add body cameras for all of our police officers. And at this point, it seems like we've hit the point where it's the right move. The Police and Fire Committee heard from the chief and saw the bid to be able to not only add new cameras, these body cameras, 10 of them, but also to upgrade the servers that we use to store that camera footage so that it is able to store the footage both from the cruisers but also from the body cameras in a single unified system. So this bid seems like it is a kind of a perfect solution for a challenge that many of our officers have felt like it's the right time. As we know, high-profile cases involving the police have been in the news a lot, and we want to make sure that our police have those cameras to be able to help provide additional footage and additional information. So the bid for the bid for the cameras, the system would be just over $40,000. And this is not currently in the budget for 2023. So the Police and Fire Committee is aware that this is a large expense to be added for the 2023 fiscal year. And there will be an additional $22,000 incurred over the next 4 years as part of the subscription fee for the server that is storing all that data. It does include the warranty and the protection for the devices. We do think that we'll be able to find grant money to help cover some of those costs down the road, but we are aware that the upfront cost is a little higher than maybe we were ready for, but we think the time is right. So with that, I'd like to introduce a motion to move for Resolution 2023-7, authorizing the purchase of body-worn cameras from Motorola.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-7, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of police body camera. Are there any questions or comments? It's worth noting, and the Vice Mayor mentioned the grants. We have been trying over the last few years to try to get grants. We've known that this is something we wanted to do for quite some time. We knew that we had to do it. One of the things that held us up was making sure that there was software that could sync up the in-car cameras with the body cameras, and that's now available. But we were also hopeful that we would get grants, but we've been unsuccessful in getting those grants, and I think everyone has agreed that we can no longer wait to hope that we get a grant, that this is something critical for the safety of our police officers, as well as, something that we would not look very good as a community if there ever was an issue, and somebody said, what about the body camera? And we said, and our response was, well, we haven't gotten them yet. So we definitely think this is the right time. So it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-7. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
All right, and the second resolution we have before you tonight is Resolution 2023-8, and we have a couple of visitors here sitting in the back. We want to recognize them. This is a proclamation that the week of April 9th through 15th is recognized as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week here in Amberley Village. So we do want to recognize two of our Amberley Village dispatchers, and we want to thank them sincerely for all of the hard work that they do to help protect our community and help keep us safe. We know that that line of work is stressful and can be challenging, and I can only imagine what it's like on a day in, day out. So it is sincerely our pleasure to be able to make this resolution to thank them for their time and to recognize April 9th through 15th as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Would like to make a motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-8, proclaiming April 9 to 15 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023-8. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously. And as noted, they had to rush out the room to get back to their jobs. And it really is incredible. The Vice Mayor mentioned the stress. It's incredible at times when you go in there, they always have a smile on their face, no matter what the stress level is. So they are a real credit to the village.
Mm-hmm. And that concludes my report.
Okay, we'll move on to the Comp and Benefits Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Compensation and Benefits Committee met on March 6th, and we have one action before Council tonight. This is Resolution 2023-3, and this resolution is meant to, sorry, as I'm trying to find my copy. Thank you. This is an ordinance establishing compensation for village employees and declaring an emergency. So the Village Compensation and Benefits Committee met in order to discuss and determine what the pay raise would be for village employees this year. It was determined by the committee that a 3.75% wage increase was merited. We looked at data from neighboring communities. We heard from the employees. We heard from the village manager, and 3.75 seemed like an appropriate number considering both kind of the outside world of inflation, while at the same time also recognizing our role in being fiscally responsible. So this ordinance, 2022-3, would go into effect immediately if council is willing to hear it. So I would like to first, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor, order is declare the emergency.
No, first order is to request the three readings of the ordinance be waived.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings of ordinance 2023-3, establishing employee compensation and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings for ordinance 2023-3, establishing compensation for our employees for the next year. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, if not, it's been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2023-3. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Yes. Ben Hunt.
Yes.
Tom Muthing.
Yes.
Bob Rosen.
Yes.
Dara Wood.
Yes.
Now it would be to approve.
All right, so now I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-3, establishing employee compensation and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Don't,
Nope.
it's just to approve.
To approve.
The ordinance, and then separately we'll declare the emergency.
So my apologies. So I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-3, establishing employee compensation.
I'll second whatever he said.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2023-3, establishing the employee compensation for the next year. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2023-3. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Yes. Ben Hunt.
Yes?
Tom Muthing.
Yes.
Bob Rosen.
Yes.
Dara Wood.
Yes.
All right, so then I would like to make the final piece, declaring an emergency so that it can go into effect immediately for ordinance 2023-3, establishing employee compensation and declaring the emergency.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2023-3 as an emergency measure, which will allow the employees' annual compensation period. The raises are effective the 1st of April, and that is the reason we want to put this in place immediately. And this is kind of our typical that we review compensation this time of year, and then we try to get it in place so that we don't have to do retroactive pay increase. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the ordinance as an emergency measure to allow it to go into effect immediately. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Yes. Ben Hunt.
Yes?
Tom Muthing.
Yes.
Bob Rosen.
Yes.
Dara Wood.
Yes.
All right, and that concludes my report.
Okay, we'll now move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. We often communicate about our police department's community involvement that goes beyond the borders of Amberley Village, and it certainly raises our profile overall, and it maximizes our exposure and encourages different relationships because it's more likely we're going to get assistance from other communities if we need that. Well, an opportunity occurred last week that I wanted to make you aware of. The Cincinnati Citizens Police Academy recognized our own Chris Fritsch for his work with the Hamilton County Dive Team. Chris is the team commander of the dive team, and they are recognizing his work along with the entire dive team. But the dive team is a organization of of Hamilton County that gets called out when there is either a potential accidental or a purposeful drowning in the Ohio River or another body of water. And then this past fall, the dive team partnered with an organization called the Living Lands and Water Organization, and they actually came and identified vehicles that were sunken in the Ohio River. And so they marked them and determined to remove them, and actually removed 14 vehicles out of the northern Ohio River bank. So that would be the territory of Hamilton County. So 14 vehicles came out, and those can typically lead to, a cold case issue. It could lead to some other type of an open investigation, but it also removes hazardous material out of our river and could potentially be a navigational hazard on the river as well. So with all of that, Chris has been the commander and has led that charge. And even though he retired from the police department this past year, he was rehired here in administration to be our zoning administrator. He has kept the responsibilities of the commander for the dive team. But we certainly want to congratulate Chris on this recognition, because he was given the Officer of the Month award from the Cincinnati Citizens Police Academy. So just wanted to make council aware of that. The second item I wanted to mention was the ice cream social date has been set. So mark your calendars. It's August the 20th. So that's Sunday, August the 20th. So put that on your calendars. We're looking forward to this annual event. And the last time I wanted to mention is I'd missed 3 council meetings, and I just wanted to thank Village Council for their thoughts and prayers and cards while I was recuperating from surgery. And I certainly want to thank you for the support and for covering me, especially to Mayor Muthing, who gave my finance reports during those 3 council meetings. But
Not near as well as you.
But also a big thank you to Chief Wallace and to Lieutenant Bloom, who assisted in my absence in providing direction to the staff, who did a remarkable job while I was out as well. So I appreciate everyone's understanding, and I'm thrilled to be here at a council meeting. I never thought I'd say that, but I am thrilled to be here. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay, and no, okay. We'll move on to the mayor's report and just a couple items. Tomorrow I'll be attending the District Advisory Council, and for those that are not aware what this is we receive our health services from Hamilton County Public Health. And as a village, all villages and townships in the state of Ohio receive their health services from the county health department. Cities within the county have the choice of whether they contract separately with Hamilton County, in this case, or their respective county if they're outside Hamilton County, or they have to provide those services directly. In the case of Hamilton County, the only cities that provide these services directly are the Cincinnati, Norwood, and I believe it's Springdale are the only 3. Over the last few years, a number of other cities have abandoned their separate services and have contracted with Hamilton County Public Health. And Hamilton County Public Health really does do an excellent job. We pay between $11,000 and $12,000 for all the services they provide. And if residents ever need things like death certificates, birth certificates, all kinds of things, and they do that, but they also were the service that we relied on during COVID or anything else. And so I will report back at the next council meeting of what went on at the District Advisory Council, but this really is an excellent service that we receive from the county. And again, is one of those examples of where it clearly makes sense to all the communities go together to get this service, because we could not even come close to provide the service that Hamilton County does for the cost that they provide. So I'll report next month on that. Secondly, the Environmental Stewardship Committee next meeting will be March 27th at 7 o'clock. But I just want to mention a few upcoming events that the Environmental Stewardship Committee has coming up. Arbor Day will be celebrated on the 26th of April in the evening. I think it's 5:30, but check the Amberley Village calendar for that. This is not on the calendar at this point, but we are going to be holding a nature walk up at Amberley Green on the 25th of May at 5 o'clock. That will be led by Corey Christopher from the Greater Cincinnati Nature Center. And Corey is extremely knowledgeable. So, I mean, definitely we will be putting out notices about that. But, you know, Corey is a great person to listen to on these types of things as well. And just his passion for things like nature and trees and so forth just comes out and just makes the walk that much more fun. The other thing I wanted to, or two other events, one is the one-stop drop, which will be coming up on Sunday, May 7th. That will occur between noon and 3, and again, it will be held up at the Amberley Green parking lot. We will have safe paper shredding. We will have recycling of electronics, and Goodwill will again be on site to take contributions for pretty much anything other than furniture can be contributed at that event. And then the last thing I wanted to mention as far as an upcoming event is we are looking to schedule another forced bathing seminar. I think the Environmental Stewardship Committee has run 2 of these. It's currently, we're looking at April 16th for that. It'll probably be between noon and 2, and it's a location to be, Tammy, the location has not been settled, right? It'll probably either be, we've held once at French Park and once at the Spring Grove Cemetery, and it'll be one of those 2 spots. We're just looking to see whether it makes sense. We'd like to hold it at French Park, but we don't want to do it if it's going to be too muddy. So we're just debating as to what we're going to do on that. And those are the upcoming events. And that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any questions? Okay, we'll now move on to new business, and I think the vice mayor has something.
Yes, I just wanted to draw attention to, this is the second year of the Edward Hattenback Memorial Scholarship. Some of you may know that last year, the Hattenback family created the scholarship specifically for the spouses, children, and grandchildren of current village employees for college education. So that scholarship the application has just gone live a few days ago. It is due by May 1st and will be announced later that month. So just announcing this as the second year of that scholarship.
Any other new business? If not, I would like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of conducting the annual review of the village manager. We started this process at our last meeting, and we hope to conclude it this evening. This is something that we're allowed to go into executive session to conduct review associated with the employment of the village manager, and we will also be discussing any pay action that we believe is appropriate.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn into executive session to consider the employment contract for the village manager. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Yes. Ben Hunt.
Yes.
Tom Youthing.
Yes?
Bob Rosen.
Yes.
Darrell Wood.
Yes.
And for those in attendance, we will be, after we complete the executive session, we will be coming back into general session, but solely to adjourn the meeting. So it's really probably not worth sitting here for us to come back. But thank Thank you for attendance, and have a good evening.